And hello and welcome. I'm Axios, and I am here today on this live stream with a lovely human and being and creature of life who is also happens to be a ministerial counselor, a healer, a massage therapist, an author, an intuitive, and I imagine various other hats that he wears, but also a friend, a very good friend of mine, and a spiritual mentor of mine who's been in my life for almost 15 years now. I don't actually even know how long, but I know my early 20s, this human was there to really provide the light of clarity that was really important and necessary for me at the time, as well as some like really helpful doses of medicine that sometimes taste really good and sometimes not always the easiest pill to swallow. But ATN has been the person that has really inspired me to show up in the way that my soul is ready to show up, and someone who I go to get my mind and heart in the right direction. So ATN, it's so wonderful to have you here today, and thank you for joining me on this call.
Yeah, thank you, Axios. I just want to correct one minor thing.
Yes,
you forgot brother. You are my brother.
Yes. When I say friend, it's brother. It's absolutely brother.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes. And we don't heal alone. So you've been my mentor also. Mm-hmm. No one heals alone. So yes. What you bring out in me, I hear from me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yes. we share that. So yes. Thank you.
Yes, students and teachers and students, we're guiding each other home.
That's right, arm in arm. Yeah. Yes. And thank you for today. Thank you for our meeting today. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, and I'm really excited to explore this topic, which is today of forgiveness, which was inspired by this 6-week series that you're doing, ATN, as part of One and Walk Spiritual Camp in association with them. Just want to give the context here. You have this 6-week series. It's about promoting peace and love in everyday life experiences with this intention to empower, forgive, and bless our lives. And today we're going to be exploring forgiveness together, this theme of like, how do I release burdens that I'm holding in my life, which to me is very relevant to my work and how I work with myself and with my clients. The name of the game being, how do we unburden these different parts of ourselves that are holding memories and meaning from the past, and how do we meet those parts of us from a place of truth, or our true self, our true nature, this light of awareness that can heal, or is healed, is whole. How do I realize that wholeness and find and unburden these different parts of myself? So I'm really curious about your relationship to forgiveness, how you relate to it, and just want to open a curious exploration together. So I'm going to pass the ball to you, ATN, and take us away.
Yeah, no, thank you. This 6-week series, each class is independent. So if someone wants to attend one or none or all or 3, that's possible. And these topics are just topics. The content is the same, but the approach is different throughout. So sometimes we need a different approach to hear the same thing. And, like you said, language, we all have a different language that they're operative at the time. Yes. So forgiveness, let me just present it as my own struggle that I had going on in my 20s also. Okay. in my teens and early 20s, I met three wonderful friends, and these friends were anger, hate, and fear.
Oh wow, I have similar friends. Wow.
Yeah, they get around. It's family. but they weren't the best friends. All right, we hugged and held each other tightly, and it wasn't the best of friends. So we had to make a breakup. And so I've been doing my search, for happiness or answers, and I had, oh my God, just a rampant amount of questions and how to come back to my peace. And that was a journey. I did a lot of occult work at the time, metaphysical, spiritual work, transcendental meditation back in the day, everything that I could think of. I read, and I was also hanging out with anger, hate, and fear. And so one day I ran into a psychic in Illinois, a beautiful psychic, and she told me some wonderful things about my soul nature, my purpose here, my function here. But she also mentioned that I needed to understand what forgiveness is for me. And back in the day, I took the traditional meaning of that. And the traditional meaning of forgiveness didn't have that palpable and that visceral kind of experience that I needed to have the let go process or the let go experience. And so that was one of the things that I left with the reading over the years. I mean, there's a couple things, but the forgiveness was top of the list. And so what does that really mean? Because I had what I thought some people in my life that I had to forgive because of the pain and trauma and, all the different labels we can put on these conflictual relationships. And so I wanted to be free of the burden that you mentioned. And I didn't get my answer for a very long time. I suffered from cluster headaches, migraine, felt like, committing suicide many a time because of the headache, the pain, and just the emotional pain, physical pain, the psychological pain, the abandonment, the loneliness, the misunderstanding. And so I was devoted and dedicated to finding this answer because I knew that was the answer, is to forgive because I was holding the burden, right? So after she told me that, I mused on forgiveness a lot. And it finally came down to, things started opening up because I was sincere about, this forgiveness process. And so what I'm going to, share today is a result of her and also one of my mentors that I met in Ashland, Oregon. His name is Jack Schwartz. He was studied at the Menninger Institute. I believe that's the correct name of it in Kansas, because of his ability to control his body. So, a brief story about him that helped me with forgiveness too, which I will present, is that he was a teenager in the Nazi prison camps. He escaped, got caught, got beat up one time, bloodied, unconscious, and the guards were around him. And he came out of his unconscious state and looked at each one of them and said, "I love you." In that moment, he healed. His physical scars healed in front of them. Okay? The guards, you can pretty much be sure they didn't bother him anymore. It was kind of like the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Pandora's box opened up, it closed down again. So it is, I love you. Okay. If I were to give a definition of what forgiveness is, it means to forgive love. Give forth the love.
Yes.
So that was an extreme situation. And thank God we all don't go through that on a daily basis, but we have our little irritations and annoyances that interfere with the love, or the peace, or the joy, or the God properties that are inherent in us, that live in us, actually, that animate us, animates our bodies, and give us our thoughts, and just is the alive part in each one of us, is that God part. I know some people have difficulty with the word God. We can use synonyms. It's the peace part. It's the truth part. It's the wisdom part. It's the love part. It's the harmony part.
Yes,
I don't care what we call it. It's the source that we all, it's like gravity. We all go there if we don't get in the way of it. We just gravitate towards that. That's our intrinsic original nature, is the God part, God itself. All right. So during my evolution in this one particular life and experiencing life, I guess contaminated the awareness of that part in my relating to people and to things in the world. And so, being separated from God, I also separated from my own peace of mind and peace of heart, my happiness, my joy, the love that I felt for myself and others. And because of that, it's a lot of pain. That's kind of like a feedback system. That didn't work. That didn't work. And so I wanted to get back into my own joy. And joy doesn't mean the 4th of July kind of jumping up and down. It's just, it's a vibration in the heart, the soul, the mind, the body. It's just a state of, kind of like a state of being. It's just a vibe, just like anger can be a vibe, or jealousy can be a vibe, or guilt can be a vibe, or anxiety can be a vibe. But those contracted kind of emotions don't lead to happiness. So I wanted my happiness back. So for me to really get an understanding, okay, so that's all the head stuff. For me to really get the understanding, I had to understand that, we all are on a very, very long journey. And every now and then we take on a new body. I'm speaking of reincarnation. And we have a lot of trauma as we're evolving into our own happiness. And let me go back just a moment. The identity, we have to work with some identity here. Okay, so in this particular form, the human form is the agency, ways, and means to express this invisible source, to express God, to express happiness, to express truth, to express beauty in a form that's visible for everyone, for ourselves, as a service to our true self, to a service for God. So God is trying to express, now use the male gender just because it's language. God's trying to express himself through all of us, 8 billion of us. And we all have a unique function to say, hey, I'm a channel for God. I'm an agent, the ways and means for God to show himself in form, to show his truth, his wisdom, his beauty, his love, his joy in form, in a palpable, visceral experience. So we can eventually, it ain't going to happen today. Eventually we can create our heaven here on earth. And that is the divine plan, is to create heaven here, heaven experience here on earth. And as we can see, there's a lot of opposing forces to that, residual energy that's mixed up in that. So we have a mixture of heaven and hell, depending on the time of the day, depending on where we are in our consciousness. So, but the plan is to create our own heaven here on this earth plane. And with that comes a lot of our own individual joy about that. Because when the inside and the outside are aligned, that's a definition of happiness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? We all have, we know that inherently. We're striving for our own truth and beauty and love and expression. And that makes me happy when I see that come forth. So anyway, I said a mouthful so far.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you would want me to, we talked about screen sharing. There's a diagram that kind of shows this, or do you have any comments about what I said so far?
Yeah, let me check in here because I definitely want to go into that screen share in just a bit. And let me just see if there's anything that feels important to share here. Yeah, coming back to just the awareness of love being, that beautiful story you shared of just like love being this this miraculous healing force that is tied in with forgiveness here. That really, there's a simplicity to what we're, that sort of this journey here, and it is coming back to this place of like, I love you. And I'm really curious about that, wanting to double click on that more. And I think I'll share from my own experience of, this world that just seems so complex, and like there's so many nuance to this experience of being in the world. And then this constant sort of coming back to the simplicity, the simple, clear, really easy answer of, if I just love myself and love others, there's just something that happens that I can't describe, that is just so profoundly true. And what is the thing that's perhaps getting in the way or distorting my awareness of love? What is the thing that maybe is distracting me from this simple clarity? And I'm curious how for you forgiveness is part of this coming back to love. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of sidetracked my own self. I alluded to being on a long journey. We all have experiences in this particular body form, in this particular life, right? And much of it is, trial and error, pain, hurt, just a lot of disturbing and conflict, a lot of disturbances and conflict. Now imagine a soul being on a journey for 100 lifetimes, 1,000 lifetimes, and none of that being resolved. Right? None of it being resolved.
Yes.
Or very little of it being resolved. And so, this residual energy bubbles up out of nowhere. It's like, why did I say that? Why did that happen? Why did this person show up in my life? All of these things, it's confusing, right? Yes. It's because we lost our alignment to truth, to our love, to our joy. And we get these surprises coming out of myself. And what it did for me to realize that is that these people that I perceived that I need to forgive, they were on a journey too. Okay? They were unaware of these unconscious or subconscious residual energies bubbling up. Now, it doesn't excuse them, right? It doesn't excuse them. But I had for my own peace of mind, frame this. So, why am I here? I mean, so all these classes are linked together. Who am I? Why am I here? And the who am I is, the agency, ways and means for God to express himself through me and to remember God. And why am I here is to heal. Okay. As we all are. We heal in our own way, and not just in the career, but we heal at home or the grocery store or in ourselves or whoever, whatever we're making contact with, the environment, plants, animals. And healing means to make whole and complete. And so when I realized that not only was I living unconsciously as a default program, from learned behavior, I inherited this and this and this, these traits from this family, this school, this culture, yada, yada, yada. I just assumed that was part of my identity. I also had to realize that others that I feel violated me, or I perceive them to violate me, were also struggling, whether they knew it or not. And so the first step that I had to realize was give them the understanding. Okay, I know your true nature, your original nature is peace, love, and joy, and beauty, and purity. However, I'm struggling, you're struggling, and there's compassion for when we understand that if they could do better, they would do better. What it looks like globally or personally, internationally, in our families, if they knew the impact,
yes,
they would do better. They can't because they don't have the clear understanding. And so the default program takes over. And then the next step is just to accept them as they are. We have a tendency in our human nature to push back or to avoid. And that's not healing. Okay, the healing comes in the transmutation of energy. Okay, if someone is physically hurt or physically ill, we roll up our sleeves and we're in there. We go to the grocery store for them, we feed them, we bathe them, we do everything we can for them if we care about them, right? We don't do that psychologically for people. Okay, we put on a defense or we attack them. And so there has to be an energy of unconditional acceptance. And that's what love is. It's acceptance. Okay. Yes. We have distorted definitions of love, and that's contaminated by attachments. Okay.
Yes.
But when we have total acceptance, we've all had that experience, perhaps. Maybe some don't remember. But we've all had that experience where, we've been around someone where we were totally accepted. And what happens in that moment or in that experience, there's a healing that happens. There's a physical healing that can happen, an emotional healing that can happen, psychological, mental healing, spiritual healing. There is a peace that animates the body, that saturates the body, right? That's in our experience.
Yes.
And so, we first have to understand, stop beating up on each other. Then accept you as you are.
Yes.
Right? And then, so someone is going through an experience of, like I was going through anger. There's a lot of anger, that people are very familiar with. And so what's the counter? And if someone's angry at me, as an example, right? I can push back, I can get angry back, I can counterattack, I can, do all these, human things that we learn to do that we think is right. But my purpose here is to heal. Okay, my true purpose, not ATN's purpose, but the God in me. That purpose is to heal, that works through me. And so instead of cursing them, I bless them. Okay, in my thoughts. Okay, we can do all kinds of nice things, in the open. We can buy gifts and, put on a happy face and, be nice. That's, be nice, and, we're being dishonest when we're just being nice. But our thoughts are negative, but our actions are positive. It's not. There's lack of integrity. Okay. And so it's a journey. Let me tell you, it's a journey to switch that around.
Yes, it is.
And so if we can genuinely bless, when someone is throwing darts, we bless them and say, remember who you are. Okay. And remember that your original makeup is peace. Someone's angry, okay, or loving. Your original makeup is loving, your loving soul, okay. And so it's getting there. We can talk about it, but it takes practice and practice and practice and practice. But what we're doing, we're rubbing shoulders with our original nature, and eventually we start to assume those properties and qualities in action.
Yes.
Okay. And it's in the beginning of this journey, I likened it to like a 75 car freight train going downhill, and I'm trying to stop this thing to go in the other direction. There's a lot of work in the beginning because we go through all these, you mentioned beliefs in the beginning of our talk here. And there's a lot of beliefs on, no, this is my natural way. I'm supposed to defend myself and attack back and stand my ground and, do all these things that I've learned to, defend this body here, this body mind. But that's not why we're here. Mm-hmm. We're here to be representatives and ambassadors for the one who sent us here. And that one represents harmony and peace and joy and love. And we do it in our own unique way, in our own unique fashion, in our own unique time. And it's the S word. It's called surrender.
Yes. Okay. And before you get into that, I just want to respond because you have such a beautiful way of describing this relationship to, ultimately we're talking about unconditional love and the framework of forgiveness. And I just wanted to name that just some of the things I'm really resonating with is just this, first and foremost, this idea that there are no bad people, there are no bad parts. That's a sort of a key theme in the work I do with internal family systems of like, there's the parts that live within us, these young parts that are holding trauma and have particular strategies that sometimes look like attacking, sometimes look like running away, sometimes and avoiding, sometimes look like fawning, many different strategies that are here. And this experience of like, can I become aware of when those parts of me are driving the car, and can I become aware in a lovingly compassionate way to ask those parts of me to get into the driver's seat or sit in the back seat, so that I, who is this, something that's beyond those parts, that's not a part, that's beyond even this body, that's as you use the word God, I might use the word self or something, or no self. Can I bring awareness to that part of me that essence of me that is peaceful, loving, compassionate, open, creative, playful, like all these like beautiful qualities that tend to be generative in nature and bring life to things. Can I bring awareness to that during some of the most challenging moments in being a human, in being with another human, that sort of triggers or evokes or tends to might ruffle the feathers of ruffle the feathers of these younger parts that live in me.
Yeah.
And can I become aware in those moments of conflict? Can I become aware of my true nature? And in a way where I can see this other human as just another person who's having a hard time, who's with their own challenges, with their own struggles, with their own traumatized young parts that are holding pain, parts that are holding burdens. Can I really see them from that place? And thus, what I'm hearing from you, Etienne, come from not a people-pleasing place with them, and not a place of like, oh yeah, you're yelling at me and that's totally okay. I'm just going to pretend like it doesn't hurt me at all. Instead, coming from a place of, I see that you're hurt and I love you and I bless you. and I'm not here to attack you or show up with any particular strategies other than I love you and I bless you and I'm here for you.
Right.
And I fully accept you just as you are. You don't need to be any different. This is okay because everything is actually okay. So that's when I hear you, that's how it translates in me.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. When we create that space, I mean, it can't just be mental, okay, or intellectual. It really has to be that experience inside our own being, our own body, that I feel safe now. I can let this individual be just like they are. Yes. And that has a miraculous exponential reach into not only them, but across the universe.
Yes.
I mean, I know it sounds kind of far-fetched, but that's how powerful our thoughts are. If we look at the world and the people in it, they represent our thoughts. They are symbols of our thoughts. That's how powerful we are. Now, when we live in that awareness, deliberately and consciously and knowingly, oh my God, we get to that place of self-empowerment instead of being victims. Okay. Now, this process that we're speaking of now, not only is it used for others to bring harmony into our relations, because we have relations with everything. We have relationships with money, time, people, nature, things, objects, everything. Not only is it good for that, but it's also good for ourselves as we're going through this journey, because we tend to be so hard on ourselves. Those of us who, some of us are and some of us aren't. Some of us are the perfectionists in us. Okay, I messed up again, or I just can't get this. We have to really offer ourselves the same compassion.
Yes.
For that little boy inside of me, or the little boy inside of you. We understand our sincerity, to really come home meaning peace, love, joy, and truth. And our willingness, to go on this journey, and the humility of not judging ourselves anymore. We all have history. We all have history of doing rotten things. Okay. I got my list. I'm sure, anyone who listens to this can probably name a few more. That's part of my evolution. That's part of everyone's evolution, to go through these experiences, whether it's this lifetime or another lifetime. And some it's not so obvious, it is in our thoughts. That's the core of the correction. Some of us have done rotten things just in the way we think about, we take sides. That's what's happening in the world now. There's a polarity, an extreme polarity, and one side is throwing negative thoughts towards the other. These are rotten things, and that perpetuates the damage. Okay, and so we don't want to do that to ourselves. Okay, right. I've had enough. Right. I have enough of that rotten stuff. Now I want to heal.
Yes, and I just want to speak to that too. Is like what I'm hearing you saying is that the quality of your relationships is very much equivalent to the quality of your life. And when we have quality internal relationships, that tends to also relate to the quality of our external relationships, or Absolutely. Vice versa.
Yeah, and everything starts from right here.
Yes,
everything starts. It's like the dream state. We all have had experiences of dreams. There are people and things in those dreams, but I am the main character. It all stems from me.
Yes.
Okay? And that's no different than our waking state in the world. You can have 2 or 3 people look at the same thing, and we'll have 2 or 3 different ways of seeing it.
And I like that frame because to me, it brings forth, it invites the sense of responsibility that I have, not necessarily to change the world, but to change my relationship to the world.
Right.
And realizing that, hey, yeah, I mean, there's definitely things out of my control, but how I relate to those things, I can choose to relate to it from a place of love or a place from hate and fear and some other stuff.
Right. Well, I've been teaching A Course in Miracles for years now, and that's a good teaching. It's an excellent teaching for me. And what it says in there is to bring whatever is going on, whatever the conflict or whatever the perception is, put that on the altar. Okay, that's the pause and the awareness. Okay, put that on the altar. Okay, and they're just words. I mean, we could do it in our own way. We just pause, take a breath. What would bring more harmony or peace to this situation, or to me, or to them, or whatever the concern is at the time? Put it on the altar. Wait for a highly intelligent response, okay? Because we've learned over these lifetimes to have a knee-jerk reaction. And that knee-jerk reaction comes from the residual behavior and learned unhealed ways to deal with anything, okay? And mostly it's from a defensive mode, the knee-jerk reaction. Okay. And so if we just pause, I don't care if you call it God, Holy Spirit, the self, no self, universe, something comes in. Okay. Something comes in. It's our intrinsic nature that is trying to speak to us, prompt us. Okay. Not to contribute any more harm, but to transmute that. How can I make this, for lack of a better term, easy? Okay, how can I bring love to the situation? So there's another question we can ask on how to bring that awareness. Because you spoke of the awareness a few moments ago. We can be aware of our hand, we can be aware of our thinking, we can be aware of the environment. But the key question is, am I aware of being aware? And what that does, it immediately pauses the brain mind from thinking. It brings it back to its source. Am I aware of being aware? And what that does, it opens up another option, another choice. Because each moment is a choice. We can either choose from what we call the ego, or we can choose from our spirit nature. And so, the ego has many faces. Okay. And when we choose from the ego, which is usually unconscious and it's knee-jerk, it keeps repeating the same pattern in a different form, right? And it doesn't heal it. But if we choose from our spirit nature, from a higher intelligence, and then it spontaneously transmutes. Whatever the response is, it's going to spontaneously change the situation. And most of the time, it's going to happen inside of me. Okay? I don't need to enact a change out there. Okay? Sometimes we do have to have communication with people. Okay? But most of the change will happen here. If I see it differently, if I feel it differently, sincerely, okay, no BS about this stuff, because there's a lot of skirting the issues, okay, that we do on the journey. But when we're really sincere and want to go to the core and stop, the sanity, then we have to go
stop the insanity.
Correct.
Let's start the sanity. Stop the insanity.
Right. We want to stop the insanity. Thank you for that. and come back to sanity. Then we have to be for real with ourselves. Okay, every what does it say? Every head shall bow and every knee shall bend. We got to go to our maker, the one who sent us here, and say, okay, when we've had enough pain, okay, pain is a good helper. Okay?
Yeah,
when you've had enough
great motivator.
pain, when you've had enough of it, say, okay, maybe I'm doing something that's not in my best interest anymore.
Yeah.
And so we go where the best interest is. And that's when life becomes a lot easier and smooth. And we let people off the hook. They're just responding.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the most humble part. Okay. And they're just responding to something that I did in the past, maybe in a different form. Okay. That's a hard one to swallow. Okay. It's a very hard one to swallow. And so, and it talks about the level of karma. Okay. Whatever I put out there, it's going to come back. If I put love out there, love is going to come back in the form that I need it. If I put peace out there, peace is going to come back in a form that I need it. Maybe I need financial help, and it'll come back in that way. If I put joy out, it's going to come back in a way, maybe I need a place to live, right? So it addresses that in the way that life addresses that in the way that I individually need that symbol of the peace, the love, the joy. Now, if I have committed so-called crimes, meaning I think without my source, I act without my source. I act as a rogue state, as a rogue individual, with no regards to harmony or peace or love or joy. And I commit a crime or a sin or, call it what you want, or some kind of infraction. It's going to come back. And we're talking hundreds or thousands of lifetimes. I don't know where this crap came from, right? Why did this person attack me like this? Maybe I was involved in something way back in a whole different, I could have been a different gender. I could have been in a different type of status in a relationship. It's just so, we don't need to know the exact crime, so to speak. We just know that something came my way for me to heal. Okay. And this is how I close the karmic account.
Yes.
I give the blessing now. I stop it, and I take responsibility, as you mentioned before. I'm sorry that I did this in the past. It's showing up now, and I'm going to recreate from now to my new future a whole different life for me, a whole different destiny. Okay, instead of repeating the pattern of the polarity or the duality, attack and counterattack that we do nonstop. Yeah. So there's a lot of isaris.
Isaris, yes.
I'm sorry.
And
I am sorry, because it stops me from attacking back, and it pauses me to do the will of God in those terms. God, how do you want me to respond in this situation now? It's here in my presence. How do you want me to respond?
Yes.
Okay. And that can only be done with sincerity. It can't be done as a routine or, it's got to be integrated. Okay.
Yes.
It really has to be integrated.
Right.
Go ahead,
Yeah, no, you're great. So when we're bringing this back, I just want to recontext forgiveness. And what I'm hearing here is that from this frame of everything that happens to me is something that I have been involved in some way, whether that is in this experience I'm having right now in this body, or maybe something in the past that wasn't this body. There's a reason for this experience showing up in my life right now. I probably wouldn't be reacting it in the way that I am reacting to it if it wasn't relevant to me or relevant to my past.
It wouldn't show up.
It wouldn't show up. Yeah. It wouldn't show up. It wouldn't show up. So because it is showing up, there's something here for me.
It's yours.
It's mine. I can take responsibility for that showing up by offering forgiveness, forgiving myself, forgiving them through my compassion, through my sense of understanding. This is here for me. This is a gift. This is an opportunity to heal. I don't need to know why this is here, but it is here for me. And can I let go of these egoic patterns, these parts of me that have strategies to protect me? Can I acknowledge that and also like create some space to be with the truth of who I really am, which is, in the end, I'm okay. I'm a loving being, and I can be with you in that. And then you invited the question of connecting to that source of me and saying like, what needs to happen here? What do I need to say? Or like, what wants to be said here? What is needed in this moment? It's a question actually I like to ask clients when they're in that self, that place of self, that place of that essence space. What needs to happen now? Because usually when they are connected to that space, they know exactly what needs to happen. Oh, this child needs to be hugged, or this one just needs to be told that we're going to be okay, or this one just needs to be acknowledged for the pain that I did, or the way that I showed up, or the way that I didn't show up for it. That question of coming back to what's needed here. But what I'm hearing there is asking love that question.
Yeah. There's a lot of ignorance, and I mean that not as stupidity. I mean there's a lot of ignoring that is in our evolution as human beings, and what we're doing is we're becoming more and more intelligent and conscious and aware of the impact we have on every level.
Yes.
Of everything, on myself, the people in my world, the world itself, the environment. Every thought is a brushstroke. Every thought is a brushstroke that's creating either trauma or it's creating harmony in myself and those around me. And as we do our healing work, so to speak, we get to witness that, and that gives us momentum, as we practice tuning into that source of life. We're not just blindly trusting, but we get the experience. We get the experience when we don't. It's called pain.
Yes.
Okay? We get the experience when we do. It's called ease and flow and harmony and exchange of love and joy and happiness. And I'm not just talking about with one or two people. I'm talking all the time. Okay, all the time. Every moment has that opportunity to have this experience of pain or that experience of true joy. Mm-hmm. And so it's a journey for all of us, and we just need to understand that everyone is doing their best.
Yes.
And if we can stop pushing against that and give them the space, they will feel our love. They will feel our acceptance. Yes. That's more than just seeds. It's helping to nurture that individual and those groups of people and the environment. It really does have a literal effect.
Yes.
And to address the other part, if we just think of a metaphor that I've used is, the light, the film, and the image on the screen. It's a real simple metaphor, but it works. The light is that part in us. The film is the mind, and our world and the people in it, and the environment. That's our product. Okay.
Right.
And we have overlapping views, but if we have a problem, what does the movie maker do to change the image? The movie maker edits the film.
Right.
Okay, that's our healing work. We're editing the film. We're taking out that old program, that old software. Okay, put in another metaphor. We got the hardware, which is the light, and our this part here, this body mind here, is the software. Okay, and sometimes cleaning this computer out, we just need to put a malware byte in it to get rid of that virus, and that malware, and then everything works fine. Right? So that's what we're doing. We're not going to judge ourselves. It's just, we're just going to download some malware bytes, okay? So we can, or the software for the malware bytes, so we can stop the conditioning of that computer. It keeps cutting off, it doesn't stay on, and bringing up other stuff, and so we just clean house. That's all, and we can do it without, again, beating others up and beating ourselves, because we're on a journey. And we're all, it is natural for us to gravitate back to perfection. And that's what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it gets really messy because things are showing themselves. But the things that are showing themselves are the past coming up.
Yes.
Okay. It's not what's happening now. It's the past revealing itself. And that's the opportunity for us to heal that, so we can have a different present and a smoother, harmonious future.
Exactly. And I think
we're evolving. We're evolving into that perfection, yes, here on the planet.
Right. I think what you just said there was the big shift for me in just, and I think it's just like this the constant realization and recognition that everything that's showing up for me is an opportunity. Every challenging, difficult moment, uncomfortable thing, fear, anger, everything that's arising that I perhaps I don't want to deal with, is it like feels contractive, is in some way distorting my relationship to peace or love or well-being. That is the opportunity, and like literally every day I get this opportunity to be yeah, we all get this. Yeah, we don't every
lack,
day.
We don't lack anything.
Yeah, it's just like this endless source of opportunities. And some days it feels like, okay, that was a lot of opportunities. I got a lot of opportunities. And some days I'm like, wow, I took a lot of opportunities. I made the best with those opportunities. And then some days I'm like, yep, today was, I sat on the bench today. That's okay. I didn't take those opportunities, and I will take them tomorrow whenever they come again.
Yeah, sometimes we got to rest.
Sometimes I've got to rest, yes. But yeah. And just in my life, just seeing the sacredness and preciousness, and just the gift that's there, like shifting my relationship to that, like, oh my gosh, this grief right now, oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful that you're here. This is the thing that was here 7 years ago, and now it's here again, and I'm so glad I found you, because I've been missing you. And now I have the tools, the strategies, the resources, the love, the frame, the presence to be with you in the way that maybe I didn't have 7 years ago, or whatever that was, 20 years ago, last life, 25,000 lives ago. But I'm here now, and wow, thank you. Yeah. And I feel love. I feel like an opening, and just even just saying that.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Everything is kicking us in our shins for love. The parts inside of us, it just wants to be accepted. Okay. And then once it's accepted, its separateness dissolves. So, the grief or the anger or the guilt or resentment or frustration or anxiety, we just put the light on it. I know it sounds kind of woo-woo, but you put the light on it, you stop fighting it, and you give it over to love and say, okay, how do you want me to respond to this? It's coming up. This is my little child. It's coming up. It's my hurting child. It's coming up. Right. How do you want me to respond to that?
Yes.
And love will respond in a way that sometimes doesn't make sense, but it is revealed that it was perfect.
Yes.
Very perfect.
Exactly. And I also want to say that you referenced like the word woo woo, and I want to name that this to me this isn't woo woo at all, because when they use the word light, you can just reframe that it's the awareness. So I have awareness. I'm aware of this computer. I'm aware of you. That's just like, okay. So I have this flashlight, which is awareness. It brings light. It sort of it dissolves or alchemizes darkness. I can walk into a dark room. In that dark room is my past and the parts of me that I didn't have the tools, strategies, resources to be with or deal with at the time, where things were really super challenging and hard and painful. And I'm going to take that flashlight using my awareness. I'm going to use my awareness to look into that dark room. I don't actually know what's going to happen because it's so dark. I don't see anything or anyone. And I don't know what's in there. I don't know what I'm going to find. But because I'm in this place, this essence of self, this essence of God, this loving place, I can show up in this darkness that might be scary at times in a way where I'm curious and open, and shine that light in using my courage to see what's there. And then in the corner, I see, oh, there's this young 2-year-old human soul that is really hurt because of what mom and dad did. And I can be with that. And now as I'm with that, and I hold that part of me, and I love that part of me, now something changes and shifts in me. And wow. So I just use the light of my awareness to literally sort of come back to a sense of wholeness with me. So that's how I relate to that. I just wanted to name that. Like, this isn't woo woo. This is real. This is reality.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. I was going to share the screen share, but I think it would probably move us in a whole different direction.
Yes.
And it would probably take another hour to go through that.
Yes.
So let's not do that this time.
Yes, I was feeling that as well. And perhaps because that's something that's relevant to we're going to have another call next time. Maybe that comes up next time or some other time.
Yeah.
But coming back to just like if we were to come find closure with this theme of forgiveness, and everything that we've explored thus far, it's and coming back just like because your series is really about promoting peace and love in everyday life experience. Right. What's a way that we can practically you've already shared some things, but like if there's anything else that you would invite to the listeners, to myself, even to yourself, how do we more practically integrate this essence of forgiveness into our lives?
Yeah. Thank you for that, Axios. It's the sincerity. There's no technique. There's millions of techniques out there. Okay. They're helpful to a certain place, but it's the sincere heart. When we go, I meditate every day. Okay. I have to. I do that just like I eat breakfast. I take a shower. It's my food. Right. It's my meeting to my best ability, with my sincere heart, is to meet the source of my life, to remember the source of my life, because I'm going to walk through this day and I'm going to have, like you said, opportunities. Because there's still some residual energy inside of me that's going to bubble up, and it's going to perceive something that is not my way, right? And so the forgiveness process, if we can just look at it as, I'm going to give love unconditionally, or if I'm going to just accept, knowingly accept whatever it is, and ask, for me, I ask Holy Spirit, just show me what is best for me, the situation or whatever is going on. What is best? Sometimes it's no action, sometimes it is action, sometimes it's speaking, sometimes it's not. How do you want me to represent what's in front of me right now? And it doesn't have to be like this, conscious dialogue.
Voice of God.
It's an energy. It's
Oxios,
right.
You must.
It's just an energy, I mean, it becomes unconscious actually after a while, because our ego is unconscious, and then our spirit nature just becomes unconscious. We just it's a spontaneous paraconscious superconscious feed. Okay, so forgiveness doesn't have to be about the trauma. It's just giving love, and when we give love, what we give, we get. We're the first ones to receive it. If we're angry at someone, the first one to receive it is ourselves. Okay. And if the first one who receives our peace, our motivation to extend peace, our motivation to extend love, who's the first one to receive it? I am. And that's the light. That's the woo-woo.
Yes. Yes.
That's the light. I'm giving myself my light by sharing my light with whatever in front of me.
Yes.
It's my sincerity. That's the key. It's my endeavor to be sincere.
Yes.
And being the agent, ways, and means for God. Mm-hmm. That's how I would include it.
Yeah.
Forget the techniques. They're there. However, it's heart to heart. It's the intimate relationship that we have, or oneness that we have with our true self.
Exactly. And I just love that word sincerity. When I'm being sincere, when I'm showing up with this other human, for instance, yesterday, my partner was angry with me because of something that I did that hurt her. And when I could get to a place where I was like, I'm sincerely here and I sincerely want to be with you, and I don't know what needs to happen, but there was a part of me that did know. And that knowing was like my mind didn't know what to do, but there was something that did know what to do. And in that knowing, that staying with the trust that, okay, I am sincere. I am sincerely wanting to be here with this human that I love, because I love myself and I love this person. And in that, just like being with, it was just clear. I just need to be present. And that's what needs to happen. Like, this person needs to be heard. This person needs to be felt in my presence. And that's what needs to happen. If there's anything that need to say, do other than that. So I just wanted to bring that back to my own practical, like how that practically relates to me and hearing you, ATN. I just feel like, it's really beautifully said. And coming back to that place of, if I'm just, the simple and clear truth is that I just need to be sincere. If I can just get to that place of true sincerity in my being, then, which ultimately often looks like love, then not only am I getting the gift of love immediately in my being, but it's the gift that's felt unconsciously, consciously, unconsciously, and it keeps on giving. Exactly. And that gift that's given is given around the world, and it's dramatically impactful in a domino effect that we don't always see.
Yes,
but we feel on some level.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes trees grow. It makes rivers flow. It cleans up oceans. It really does, because it taps ideas, practical ideas, and how these things can be implemented that we need. Yeah, we help each other to tune in to a better way.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this feels like a good place to close. How do you feel, Etienne?
I'm good.
You're good.
I could talk for hours with you.
I know.
We are like we're like arm in arm.
Yes, I'm super enjoying this. So with that being said, we'll be on next week, same time, same place. I'm really excited to explore a new topic with you. Thank you, Etienne, so much for your willingness to be here, and just like the beautiful shining presence that you bring, and just like the way that you so simply and clearly speak to a nature of reality that's so important. This sort of deep essence of love that you're helping me and others to understand in a way that's very practical and real and honest. Thank you.
Now you're saying that for yourself too, right?
Of course.
No,
So,
right.
like what I give out is immediately coming back. So it's coming back. Yeah. No. Yes, and yes.
No, thank you.
Yes.
For being. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for Etienne is, again, I want to state, he's leading a 6-week series, which you can join at any time. I'm going to add some links below just in a bit, but if you check out his website, etiennepate.com, you can find it there. I think you just go to workshops, and then the next workshop is heart. What is that one about the heart? Right? Something about the heart.
No surgery today. Living from the heart.
Living from the heart. Yes.
Yeah, that's this coming Sunday.
And what time is that?
That's at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock Central?
Yes, I'm sorry. 10 o'clock Central Time.
10 Central, Living from the Heart. And then next Monday, we're going to be exploring that topic of living from the heart together.
Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well, any final words, Etienne, before we close?
Thank you. Gratitude is the attitude.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Thank
you, Axiel. I appreciate it. Lots of love to you.
Okay. All right. So that's it. We did it.
All right. We did it.
Honest. Thank you.
Now you're saying that for yourself too, right?